Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Baseball Podcast. We're coming to you live here from San Francisco, where Carlos Correa has not signed with the Giants.
I like how we're not in San Francisco, but you used it just to get that joke out.
Yeah, dude. Listen, whatever gets it across, you know. Listen,
Giant
we're here at a city that has a Carlos Correa and Aaron Judge shaped hole in it right now.
arson.
Arson, you're right. I'm sorry.
Take
And
it easy.
to their credit, they have attempted to fill it with Michael Conforto. No word on the man's physical.
And Mitch Haniger and Ross Stripling and Sean Mania and spare parts. Well,
Right.
Mitch Haniger's good, but spare
Yeah,
parts.
I was going to say I like Mitch Haniger for them.
But yeah, Mitch
Mitch
Haniger's good.
Haniger,
But he's not Aaron Judge is the point we're getting across.
right? Well, I mean, for me, Mitch Haniger has already played in like one of those next to the water, just absolute like graveyards for hitting. Because Safeco is a lot like whatever the Giants Stadium is called now.
Park.
What was it?
T-Mobile Park.
Look, I don't remember all their new names now. I lose track of that very quickly. The Mariners Stadium is very similar in like conditions and like suppressing homers to the Giants Stadium. So I think that Haniger will be fine there. Conforto is probably more of a is the guy going to be healthy thing because that has kind of traditionally been his issue.
And he's had like 2 years off. Is he going to be the same?
Right. I like the Carlos Correa. They do his physical and like had an injury 8 years ago.
Yeah.
We're worried. And then Michael Conforto is hurt all the time. And they're like, come on down, buddy.
Right. Well, and the weird thing, like, I've heard a lot of theories about this, and there's no good way to really spin this if you're the Giants, because people were like, maybe Zaidi doesn't like management's, like tactics here, and so he scuttled the deal, which is like, what self-respecting GM would do that? You just be out of a job. But then
what the hell?
Chip got cold feet and pulled out of the deal. But then it's like, what free agent would ever want to come to your team if you do that? So it's like the only real explanation that I'm buying is just for whatever reason they just weren't comfortable with his physical, because not that he has a problem now, but they think it'll cause problems down the line. But that's one of those like, this wasn't like everybody knew that he had this injury. It wasn't like a secret. I mean, obviously it's different once you get in there and look, but like if you thought there might be questions, why would you go forward with this mega deal being like,
Why get scuttled by the physical, you know?
it's a really bad look if you're the Giants. And especially after striking out on Aaron Judge so spectacularly. It's just, man, what a brutal offseason for Giants fans.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, you're in the NL West, you're looking at I don't know what either the best or the second best division in the game right now. Because I think that the NL East is probably the other contender, and then I know the AL East is like generally in that discussion, but I think the NL East is what I would pick for the best division in the game right now as the things stand. Because the Mets, I referred to them on Twitter the other day as the tax and spend Mets.
I just want to say, I know a lot of people have been saying this, but Steve Cohen is the best thing that has happened to baseball, if not ever, at least in the past like 50 years since free agency started. Because we can talk about players' impacts on the game and rule changes, commissioners stuff, but here's what it comes down to. All like the figures and the numbers and the money and everything that you're given is kind of arbitrary. Any team can afford any player, and it's just whether or not the Cleveland or the A's or the Pirates want to afford them, which obviously they don't.
Right? Yeah, they have chosen the way of not doing that.
Right, they've chosen the way of not, but they can afford players if they want to. But like, no team is poor. There's no such thing as small like a team. And there are teams like the Phillies and the Dodgers and the Yankees, which have been okay spending money. And then there's the Mets, who I'm very grateful to be a Phillies fan. They spent over the luxury tax. They brought in a lot of guys. The Mets make the Phillies look like chumps because they're making everybody look like chumps.
Right.
Like, Cohen's worth billions and billions of dollars, and he's spending it, man. Like, I was listening to John Boy's podcast the other day, and they were talking about it. Baseball owners shouldn't be treating it as their business. They should be treating it as something to like bring people joy, And I understand you don't want to be merging money off of it, but like, it shouldn't be, these owners who are like, oh, we only are going to spend what we make. It should be, I'm Steve Cohen. I have like $20 billion. I'm okay losing $100 million on my Mets payroll because I want the Mets to win. Like, that's the kind of owners that MLB should be trying to get, and really every league. But, it's about money, and Rob Manfred's a stooge, and that's, it's not always going to be that way.
Yeah.
Right now, I hate the Mets. I hate Justin Verlander. I hate kind of
Max
hate.
Scherzer.
Yeah, I hate Carlos Correa. I'm really glad that all this is happening because it's good for baseball.
Right.
And the more the Mets do this, the more other teams are gonna have to step up. You know? So I'm just so
Well,
glad.
I mean, the Mets are only doing this because like the Dodgers kind of, well, the Yankees really started it, but then the Dodgers started to spend loads of cash, and then the Padres were like, okay, well, if we want to ever win this division, we're gonna have to start shoveling money
Yeah.
at players. And then
Yeah, I saw an interview.
actually, the Phillies probably kind of started before the Padres did, but the Mets are they're kind of the newest kid on the spending an absolute fortune on their team block, and they're making a statement because
I
they have
saw
the highest payroll in baseball by like kind of a lot now,
by
right?
like $100 million. I saw a thing that after because they like once you go over a certain threshold in the luxury tax, you owe a certain amount of money on any overage. I don't really know exactly how it works, but I saw a
Right.
thing that
It's
said
complicated.
right, I'm good, and I don't like math, but I saw a thing that said like once it's all factored in, like and the luxury tax penalty that they're gonna have to pay is added onto their payroll, it's gonna be like close to, if not exceeding, $500 million. Like that's insane. That's double what any other team is spending. And like how many other teams' payrolls could fit into that? You know what I mean? Like
Well,
probably
if we start at the bottom, I mean, you've got the
right,
Pirates and the A's who have like $20 million payrolls.
right. And the Guardians and those guys who like don't want to spend any money. Like it's man, it's nuts. And the thing I love is I saw an interview with the Padres owner and somebody asked him about extending Juan Soto and that's gonna be a big expense and I get to shed salary. And he said something, I don't have it in front of me, but he said something to the effect of you can't take it with you when you die, so I like spending money. And I was like, man, this is so good for baseball. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
uh, I love it, man. I'm so happy. I hate the
yeah,
Mets. And I know Steve Cohen has had problems in his other business ventures and his personal life, but I don't know anything about that. Steve Cohen is the biggest baseball hero in my book. I don't know anything
yeah.
about the guy, but in baseball, he's my favorite person in the world. You know?
Yeah, I mean, like we do need something to kind of kickstart an era of owners slash GMs who actually care about baseball and not just their bottom line.
Yeah, yeah. It would be,
Which
it'd be great.
there are very few of those. I think one of the great things about Dombrowski for the Phillies is he really seems to be gifted at getting his teams to open the pay or the checkbook a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the Phillies had been big spenders at times in the past, like in like 2011, 2012, they had one of the higher payrolls. But like they're not a team with a reputation for like just throwing money out the door, like just
Right.
shoveling it into the furnace.
Right.
Like the Yankees and like the Dodgers have kind of become that team. But like when Dombrowski came in, they basically were like, listen, the players that we want, who we think are going to make this team good, like we're willing to spend the money on them. And it's like, it's always a little hard to sit there and watch like a billionaire be like, yeah, we're not going to be able to afford it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is good that they're starting to pull the trigger on that a little more. Now, good
It's
luck talking some of these teams that we've been leaning on a lot. And I think the one that we're willing to give a pass, we've talked about this not on the podcast, but just in general, the Rays, and maybe to a lesser extent the Marlins. Although I think the Marlins spend more than the Rays do. But like these are teams that are in a state that struggles to have any sort of native fan base. St. Petersburg is like not a very big city.
their stadium's a mess. It's one of those things where like I think the Rays are contributing to their own problem because they have more money to spend than they can. But
Right.
so like I think there absolutely could be changes made. But on the other hand, they aren't the Yankees and they aren't the Mets. Like, they might not be able to float in those same waters, but it
Right.
does come down to the same thing of no team is poor. And especially with revenue sharing, like every
Mm-hmm.
team has money to spend, but instead, so
Right. Yeah, everybody's getting a cut of that sweet Mets, just absolute just money pit.
right,
And
right,
like the Mets, if they don't win 100 games this year, like it's going to be a little bit of a disappointment if you're a Mets fan.
dude. And you know what it is too. And I wrote an article about this before this past Philly season. When they still hadn't made the playoffs for a million years. I wrote an article about this, and it was called "Today I'm Grateful for the Phillies." And basically, my whole thing was the Phillies have been a disaster for like 10 years, and it still could be a disaster, right? Schwarber and Castellanos and all those guys could fall on their face, and Castellanos did. But it was
Right.
basically
Yeah.
like the season could
True.
fall apart. They could win 60 games. And I'd still be grateful because ownership opened up their pocketbook and they spent and they tried to win. And obviously it worked out well and they went to the World Series. But I think that's like the tactic you got to take as a Mets fan. Like, dude, the Mets are the Mets and they Metsed it up last year. But like, obviously they look like a much better team right now and they're super exciting and everything. But if the Mets go out there and they get smoked again and they miss the playoffs, they get knocked on the first round,
Right.
be mad, you might be disappointed, and you absolutely should be because it's baseball and that's what you do. But you can't blame the Mets for not trying, and that's the most
True.
important thing as a fan. Like, things aren't always going to go your way. Sometimes you don't get the breaks. But did your team try their hardest? I think the Phillies did. The Mets did. The Yankees begrudgingly did this past offseason.
Yeah.
The Dodgers usually do. Like,
The Braves do, to their credit.
the Braves are a little weird. They didn't want to pay Freeman, but yeah, they lock up all these. Yeah, if you're a Braves fan, you don't have any complaints.
Yeah, the
But
thing with the Braves is like, yeah, they don't want to spend like stupid money, but they kind of get around that by, they lock up like their young good players, like maybe even a little earlier than they should. Like some of them, like if Acuna plays every year like he did last year, that wouldn't be as good of a contract as it could be.
right.
But like they bring a guy up, and if he has any success at the major league level, they're like, lock him up now.
Yeah.
Which is different than what a team like the Pirates does, where the Pirates get that guy,
And they flip him.
yeah, and then they either trade him or he just walks in free agency because they're like, oh, dude, yeah, we had Andrew McCutchen, but we couldn't afford to keep him. It's like, cool, dude. Yeah, you're really making your fan base love
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, it's such a bummer, man. And their teams like the Brewers, the Brewers were pretty good. They kind of disappointed last year, but a couple of years before that, they did pretty well. And they've got like so much pitching, and they've got some stars on their team and everything. And what do they do this past offseason? They made a great trade for William Contreras that fell into the lap. But other than that, like, they shed payroll, like they traded Renfro and they traded
Right.
and they brought in Jesse Winker. Like,
no, I do want to make an edit to your statement because that wasn't a trade. They called him up from AAA Oakland, which he wasn't on Oakland, but
William Contreras.
yeah, let's be real. Everybody in that trade who wasn't Oakland got off real easy.
Well, the Braves, they just went to their AAA Oakland A's franchise.
Yeah.
And they, like, last year they brought up Matt Olson, and this year they brought up Sean
Murphy, yeah.
Yeah. And the A's take Shea Langoliers, look at these, good. But like the A's take spare parts and the Braves get superstars, and that's the way it works.
Yeah.
I want to say, by the way, I was listening to a Phillies podcast. I won't mention who because I don't want to make enemies, but I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about Sean Murphy, and the one guy was like, I got to be honest, Sean Murphy doesn't scare me. And I understand that because he's a much better fielder than he is a hitter. He's a good hitter, but not amazing. Like, I understand being like, oh, he's a little overhyped. He doesn't make the Braves that scary to me. But then the other guy goes, yeah, Sean Murphy's not good. And I was like, take it easy, all right?
Yeah,
Sean,
take it easy, Chief.
Like, the Braves improved with that deal, all right? Let's not act like Sean Murphy's he's a good player.
I get saying he doesn't scare you because, like, the kind of player who scares you is like if the Mets sign Aaron Judge, that's terrifying.
Or if the Mets sign Carlos Correa and Justin Verlander and Kodai Senga and Nimmo again and all the rest of their guys.
Yeah, and this is a team that won 100 games this year.
Right. Now, in fairness, they lost a lot of guys. They lost DeGrom. I don't know. They lost other people. I can't remember who.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they lost some people, here and there. We don't know who they are. Here on the baseball podcast, we don't worry about details that.
You can tweet at us at the baseball pod too.
Right. You can also follow us individually. One of my missions as a podcaster now, and just general baseball fan, and I've talked to you about this. One of my missions is I've been really trying to convert my Twitter feed from just me posting like my Elden Ring highlights to I'm trying to turn it into just this solid wall of baseball related sarcasm.
I like it.
I think I've done okay so far. I do a lot of retweeting of things that I think are, to put it lightly, I would call them poorly thought out, such as I think it was the account Drunk Phil's fan, being like, yeah, dude, the Phillies should sign Eric Hosmer. It's like, yeah, because what we need is just a first baseman who's terrible. You
Yeah,
know?
I think exactly what you said was a first base with a 77 OPS plus is exactly what this lineup needs.
Yeah, it's like, dude, we can just call that guy up from the minors. You know?
They have Derek Hall, who's just better and
Yeah.
cheap, free.
Yeah, and
And
it's like part of his case, and admittedly, Eric Hosmer's defense is misunderstood. Get people who are into like analytics can kind of look at it and they will see like, yeah, analytics hates Eric Hosmer's defense. And I think he started to kind of not pass the eye test either. But like when he was on the Royals, especially, like he was considered like a really good defensive first baseman. I mean, he won what, 4 Gold Gloves,
whatever.
but he never passed like the analytics test. And it's not really that hard to be like a decent defender at first base. So it's kind of like,
Reese Hoskins has proved that sentence wrong.
what, that it's not that hard.
That is not that hard.
Well, it doesn't have to be hard for people to not be able to do it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, and like the difference is that, Eric Hosmer's not really that good of a hitter anymore. Reese Hoskins, for as much as Phillies fans trashed him, like during the World Series, and
justifiably so when he was.
Yeah, in the World Series, he really didn't do anything. In the wild card games, didn't do anything.
In the NLCS, though, he showed up.
Yeah, like, dude, was it Game 4 of the NLCS where he hit two-run homers?
Dude, I still think he should have been the NLCS MVP. I know Harper had the iconic moment of that series, and he
did
single-handedly sent them to the World Series. But dude, Reese Hoskins was unbelievable in the NLCS.
Well, and he like all of his home runs were like really consequential in the playoffs. Yeah. Well, actually, that's not true. He hit the one off who started Game 2 for the Padres.
Snell, I think.
He probably did hit it off Snell. He hit it like when the game was like pretty much already over. It was like 9-2 or whatever, and he hit a solo homer. But other than that, like the homer off Spencer was like the most not. I mean, it's never going to be the most iconic part of a run that has that Harper homer in it. But like the bat spike,
dude,
incredible.
And he hit 2 in the final game of the NLCS, and then he went yard again in the World Series. Yeah, Reese Hoskins, he's a complicated man.
Yeah, the 2 homers that he hit in the was it Game 3 of the NLCS or was it Game 4, right?
Maybe, I don't remember.
The game where the Padres scored 4 before the Phillies even batted. Yeah. Hoskins hitting a 2-run homer with no outs after that 4-run top of the first. Huge.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Because you have to take back some of the momentum there. Like I know momentum's a little bit of like a wispy kind of thing that doesn't really exist, but like especially with a fan base that's as intimidating as Philadelphia can be, like you can't have it just be like, okay, well now the stadium's quiet and everybody leaves early.
Yeah.
So taking back that sort of like, yeah, listen, we're coming back. It's not 4-0, it's 4-2, which is a lot more manageable.
Right.
And later, Soto hit a 2-run homer, and it was kind of like, they just tied it. And then Hoskins comes out and hits another 2-run homer, and you're like, yes, I can feel it. I know this is going to be good. And like, yeah, Harper deserves really. You can do co-MVPs, right? Because they had a real co-MVP case.
Yeah, that happened, but I don't think they like to do it. And for
but
yeah, let's be real. We're not here to talk Reese Hoskins, and we're not here to talk current Phillies. You know who we're here to talk about?
Future Philly
star.
Yeah, Craig Kimbrell.
How dare you? How dare you? We're here.
No. We're here to talk a different future Phillies star.
We're here to talk about Phillies 2022 third-round pick Gabriel Rincones Jr., who's been nice enough to lend us his time, and he's a super nice guy, and he's going to be a star. So let's finish up this intro and let's just send it over to Gabriel.
Yeah, let's bring him on. You know what? We're here to talk about him, and we're here to talk to him.
Yeah,
so
we're here to talk with him. So I hope you guys enjoy our interview with Gabriel. Welcome to the baseball podcast. We're here with 2022 third round draft pick Gabriel Rincones. Gabriel, thank you for coming on the show, man. This is super cool.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
So Gabriel, before we get too deep into things, who are you? You know, where'd you come from, and what do you do?
I'm a baseball player for the Phillies. Grew up in Venezuela and Scotland, but I was born in Boynton Beach, Florida. Learned to speak English in Scotland. Obviously, can't tell right now, but after I was done with my time in Scotland, from primary school till the first year of high school, came to America, wanted to play baseball. Learned to speak like everybody else. Kind of did it out of my own idea, but I mean, ever since I've been trying to keep up with everybody my age playing baseball. Since I didn't play baseball competitively, I don't want to say I didn't, because obviously I played in Edinburgh with that league with the Edinburgh Cannons and the Glasgow Comets, I think.
Okay.
But obviously not organized, live pitching my age, so everybody here was getting the reps. Obviously, I went to play high school, and then 2 years junior college, and 1 year at FAU last year, and then draft this year.
Right now we're off to the pros.
So where did all the moving around come from? You said you're born in Florida, you moved to Scotland, then to Venezuela, back to the U.S. to train. Why did all that happen?
So my parents had me when they were here. Was born at 1 year old. I moved to Venezuela because they're all Venezuelans. My dad got a job with I don't know who it was, but I know it's the oil rig industry. He's a offshore safety advisor. So obviously, where the toxic gas comes up with the oil, he provides the breathing apparatus, all that good stuff.
Okay.
So that moved us out to Scotland, where he works 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off in the North Sea. And so I'm trying to remember. It was 6 years there, and my parents obviously took the sacrifice to send me over here without their presence. Obviously, as a parent, now I understand why my mom was crying as she sent me away.
Right.
But at the time, I was trying to hold back my my laughter,
Right.
just because I didn't understand. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna see you again, but
Right.
Go do this right now.
So,
Okay.
I did a little reading. I Googled Gabriel Rincones Jr. See what comes up. One thing I did see is your dad was also a professional baseball player, briefly, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and he was a pitcher, is my understanding.
Yeah, he got hurt with the same. I don't know if it was the same because he never got diagnosed, but the reason why he stopped playing is because his shoulder, I guess he blew it out or something. He got hurt, and he didn't tell anybody about it because he didn't want to. At the time, if you were hurt, you get cut or whatever it was. International guys, if you don't play, see you.
Yeah.
Right.
He was 20. He was 20 years old. So that.
We lost him.
Oh no.
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 We got
your dad pitched for the Mariners system in for a year or two, right?
Yeah. He put up good numbers too. He threw 95 back in the day. It was pretty hard. You got kids nowadays throwing 100 plus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Now, if you throw 95, it's okay. Well, we'll give you a shot.
Yeah, we'll think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. People probably throw 95 in college now.
95 as a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
Did
you ever go up against 100 in college?
98.
All right.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Yeah. How'd you do? What did you?
Double and a homer, but
all right. Well,
other than that, though, yeah.
I mean, listen, I faced a guy who threw 94 and I fouled them all off. So
there you go. It only takes one swing.
Yeah, really.
Maybe if you're actually good. All right. So you come from as much of a baseball family as probably existed at the time in Scotland, right? So you mentioned you played in like a Sunday league kind of thing in Scotland. Um, Now I assume that wasn't, the sort of talent level that you were looking for once it became clear that, that you have maybe what it takes to go pro. Maybe, you need to be in a little bit more than a Sunday league, right?
Well, see, now it's more organized than it was back then because
Mm-hmm.
when I was there, like kids my age didn't even know. Like my friends would be like, "Oh, isn't that the sport playing the movies? Like, they'll never play that here,"
Right.
and make fun of me. It's like, all right, well, I'd play with the older guys because like kids my age just didn't know about the sport. But now it's a lot more involved, and people want to play. It's more organized.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I mean, that's not to say that I was good. Like just
Right.
because you start playing ping pong, a year like earlier than a kid that has never played ping pong doesn't mean that you're good at ping pong.
Right.
Right.
Because I came here in first few years of high school, I got cut. Good old Coach Dennis Braun at Plant,
Mm-hmm.
and I would have cut myself too. But the problem is like I it was not a problem. It's actually what made me, you know, make the team and get to
Right.
where I am now. Is that I was mad at myself because I wasn't good enough,
Mm-hmm.
at the time, but I knew that I could get to wherever I wanted to be. The problem is that
Right.
no one believes that until you do it. So
Right.
in my head, I was like, I just got to prove it, and then people will see that I'm right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, see, it seems like that is what happened, with the benefit of hindsight.
Yeah, well, that'll never go away
Right.
because as soon as you achieve one thing, obviously the world's not going to end once you achieve it. There's going to be something else, and
Mm.
Yeah.
once you get satisfied, you win MVP. You're going to want to win a World Series. You win a World
Right.
Series, you're going to want to be the MVP of the World Series.
You know what that reminds me of? When Rob Thompson took over as manager of the Phillies, he said, we're below 500, right? We're behind the Mets and the Braves. We're going to win one game, and then we're going to win five, and then we're going to win 10, and then we're going to keep going until we win the World Series. And he almost did it,
Yeah.
That's a good mindset instead of trying to do everything all at once,
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to ask you about Scotland. Well, not really about Scotland. Now that I think about it,
Mm-hmm.
when did you decide that you have to move away basically to get the kind of training and competition that you need?
Yeah, I wasn't the one that decided. I was simply my parents would ask me what I wanted to be growing up. Like once I would get there, and I would say baseball player. So they kind of I never understood. I just was given the opportunity, and I took it. I was like, yeah, please send me. I want to go. Because I
Mm-hmm.
was always asked. I would always ask them. Remember, like, hey, can you send me over to play baseball? Like, when can I play baseball? Can I go back and play baseball for a year?
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, all right, well, you want to play baseball? We'll send you over to Venezuela for 1 year before we decide whether or not you're mature enough and you can deal with everything without us. Like you can cope with everything it takes,
Mm-hmm.
So they sent me over 1 year in Venezuela. And then because I had 6 years without playing, so I'd go there before I went to the U.S.
Right.
When I showed that I could do it, they sent me over to the U.S. But it was really their decision. Never at one point was I the one that made the decision.
Mm-hmm.
I just like told them that I wanted to do it.
Okay. So they had your back on you said you wanted to be a baseball player, and they said, well, then let's make you a baseball player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
All
so
right.
cool. So do you think that had a big impact on, your journey and your growth, not only as a baseball player, but as a person, all the moving around, all the readjusting, and I would assume there's some adversity to be faced in that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, you say you're a pirate on a ship, right? You want to take over an island, and the best way to take over the island is to burn the boats.
Yeah.
Like
That's a good point.
parents.
Yeah, that's true. You got to go full Hernan Cortez.
I I remember, crying in my room because I got cut. And I was in the country because I wanted to play baseball and become a baseball player, but I can't
Mhm.
make the varsity. I can't make the JV team my freshman year. Like, what's going on? But I mean, for 2 years, I didn't say a word to anybody. And then once I was able to dress out, I remember just dress out for pictures, not the game, not the bench. Like
Right.
I was so happy that I was being like able to dress out for pictures my sophomore year, that everybody was like, "Oh, Gabe smiles, like Gabe's saying something."
Oh yeah.
But I was so bitter. Obviously, I wasn't gonna be content or at least like slightly happy with not making the team. Um, so I mean, I was super, super, super angry kid at myself, not anybody else. I was just wanting to like somehow get better, and it didn't help with my high school coach was the words that he said when I asked him what can I do. He said get better. So I'm like,
Yeah,
all
typical
right,
coach.
let me go see what that looks like. But
Yeah.
I mean, I also at the time I played third base, and I told the third base, starting third baseman, I was going to take his spot. I told the coach that too. So,
Well, you know what? Is that starting third baseman? Is he a Phillies draft pick?
he had the potential. He definitely could have been.
Okay.
Good pitcher,
Okay.
good hitter.
All right.
Didn't go right for him.
Well, it's pretty tough. I mean, like some of the people that I play with, like I used to play with this guy who, not naming names, but had a very high opinion of how good he was at baseball. And like he's better than I am. But he was like, bro, like honestly, if we got like D1 players coming out here, like we could probably hang with them. I'm like, dude, I don't know about that, Chief. Like we play at a pickup league. Like I'm pretty sure that any kind of like division college baseball is just a totally different game than what we're playing. Like I've never seen an 85-mile-an-hour curveball, you know?
We're also just bad. We're just bad at baseball. Let's be
That's the
straight
short
up.
version of what I was saying.
Yeah, that's the short version. So I do want to ask you about something. I'm changing gears here, but it was
Yes.
something that I heard you mention on another podcast, and I thought it was really interesting. You talked a lot about, like you said, you were bitter and not at anybody else, but just really, like I said, a big chip on your shoulder is a good way to put it. And then you said that you got drafted by the Padres. You guys didn't agree on money and all that, and then you said eventually you just decided to turn it all over to God, and then things sort of fell into place. Can you tell me about that and about, I guess, what sparked your I don't know if you how long you've been a Christian and all that, but what sparked the whole interest in it, I guess, for lack of a better term, and then how that affected your life and your career?
So my family's Catholic. I've always felt convicted. I've always loved God, but I've never pursued Jesus the way that I switched it on the start of my FAU year, which was last fall. But I mean, before that, I mean, I had multiple instances where I felt convicted and I wanted to change the way I was living. I felt like the way that I was living wasn't going to lead to any. It was all temporary gratitude, as any life outside of living for Jesus is. Because in the end, we have a Jesus-shaped hole in your heart. It's gonna, you can't fit anything else that's not that. But basically, I was the JUCO Player of the Year coming out of St. Pete, and I at the time leading up to that, I was all okay. I see it, I believe it, I'm gonna make it happen, and all throughout, since my freshman year in high school to my sophomore year in college, that's what it was. I'm gonna work my ass off. I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna visualize it every day. I'm gonna dream about it. I'm gonna work till everybody thinks I'm sick, like work till everybody thinks I'm crazy, because obviously you can't have things that can't if you. I don't know how to put this. If you want things that other people can't have, you got to do things that other people won't do. So,
Right.
Obviously, anything that anybody would be like, "Oh, I'm not doing that. It's crazy." That's something I would want to do.
Right.
Okay.
So, but leading up to junior college, I was so amped up on 2021 draft. Like, yeah, I want 800,000. I deserve 800,000. My junior college coach, Brian Beckman, he sat me down. He's like, here are the numbers for junior college outfielders. Here are all the numbers for anybody that's ever gotten paid out of junior college. Numbers don't lie. They're right there. 200,000, 100,000, 300,000. And I gave him back. He printed me out a sheet. I gave it back to him. I said, don't group me with these guys. I know I'm junior college now, but I know who I am, like what type of player I will be. So I don't want to see this. Like, don't put me in. Don't compare me to anybody. And then going in, I was expecting at least like a counter offer going into the draft. Not a single call. After the fourth round, I was gutted. I couldn't show it to my family, obviously, because we had to still eat dinner. Everybody was kind of looking at me, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, like what are we gonna? How do we act?"
Yeah,
right.
I'm like, "Dude, relax. Like, let's have dinner. Now I'm just gonna go to FAU, and I'm gonna prove all these guys. I'm gonna turn their heads." And I remember leaving that, and I was just like, not distraught, but I was the same sophomore year kid that was angry again. Because things didn't go my way. Fairy tale exactly how I wanted them. Obviously, manifestation is a thing, right? But this is what I'm saying. Nothing came into fruition until that final piece was faith, putting God first, right? When you put him first, it says in the Bible, when you put him first, everything else will be added on to you. So, I mean, it's not coincidence. Like, everything in your life, people can say it's coincidental, but when you really have your eyes uncovered, everything that I did prior to the year at FAU was leading me up to what I wanted, and everything I prayed for, I just needed to put him first. And so that, from the start of my year at FAU, I committed my life to Christ, and the rest is how it is.
So is that something where maybe somebody sat you down and had a talk with you, or you had a moment where you thought about it and you're like, all right, this is what I got to do if I want to be committed to God? Or did you sort of just over time realize, hey, maybe it's not working out the way I wanted to. Let me, try it a different way. Like, did you have one moment, or was it a longer period of time?
It was all snowballing. And obviously, for like me personally, things that I do, things that happen, I don't forget them. Sometimes they come in flashes. But when I would be alone, it'd be the worst, when I think about all the things that I'm doing and I know that I shouldn't be doing. And like before, it's the same thing, right? But at one point I said, I was like, I had enough. Something needs to change. I started reading my Bible more consistently, reading more, praying more. And, it comes to a passage of John where it's talking about how, you get baptized first to kind of the first baptism, right? When you're baptized with water, but then Jesus comes in and says, if you want to come into heaven, the only way into heaven is through me. Be baptized in the name of Jesus. And so I read that and I was like, I mean, this is what I got to do. Like, I be baptized, commit my life to Christ, and live be born again, live a new life, and leave, everything that I wanted to leave behind. Right. Obviously, that the human nature is you don't want to do that. You want to stick to the things that are comfortable and fun and pleasurable. And then I met my girlfriend, who really helped me. And I mean, I was honestly kind of jealous, very kind of envious, because she was so well. Like, at first I was like, everything she's doing is what I want to do, and I'm jealous of it. And to this day, I feel like she was sent from God. I know some people might be like, that's weird, like, but everything is not coincidental. Everything's leading up.
Man, I know exactly what you mean. I know we're here to talk about baseball, and we can get back to that in a minute, but sorry, you just, like, everything you said, I understood exactly what you're saying. Like, my wife's dad is a pastor, and when I started dating her, I started going back to church. And I even said, like, I got baptized 2 years ago, right before the pandemic started. And I even said that, like, when I got up there in front of everybody, I was like, my whole life I've been sort of like, I'm going to do what I want to do. And then later on I can figure it out, and I can start living the way that I should, or, apologize later, basically. But that's not really what it's about. It's about, doing the right thing now, and trying your best at least to do the right thing now. And I know exactly how you feel, man, of being like, it's really difficult to get everything the way you want it on your own, because I can't control everybody else. So yeah, I sorry, man. That just was so interesting to me the way you said that, because I was doing that. Like, I work at Starbucks and I was doing that. Like that's so no big deal. But you're doing that with playing in the in MLB, which is a really big deal, So sorry, I just thought that was so relatable, and I don't know. I just wanted to tell you that was super.
That's what it's all about. I mean, whether I'm playing baseball or not, I've come to realize that if I play for the Lord, I'm gonna still be playing baseball because I'm playing for Him, not playing for me or the game, which is worldly. I'm gonna die, and the game's gonna keep going, right?
Right.
So that's what it's all about.
Man,
That's cool.
that's so interesting to me. I know we should probably get back to baseball now, but I thought that was really interesting.
We're talking baseball. Okay, this is part of his baseball journey.
That's an excellent point. You're right. That's made you the person that you are today.
Yeah. One thing I heard that I did want to bring up, this is kind of just an encapsulation of what we're talking about. It sounds like in all of these things, when you found that you came up short in something, you didn't want to be the person who was just like, well, I guess forever. Like, you were the guy who was like, I'm going to do something about it because I know that I can.
Yeah.
And that sounds like what sets you aside from, people who, like you said, the people who aren't willing to do those things. And as a result, they sort of settle. So, yeah. And it sounds like that is, that and your faith which I think your faith is part of that too, are the things that got you where you are today.
I agree. Absolutely.
There we go.
That's so cool. So a baseball question about your faith, right? Our friend Sean Spradling, who's a WBC, I called him the WBC news extraordinaire. He wanted me to ask you, have you ever run into any problems or maybe conflicts or even just uncomfortableness in general about, your faith or religion in, the clubhouse or with a coach or something like that?
Oh yeah, it's everywhere. I mean, the ruler of the world is not Jesus. The ruler of the world is, the devil. So it's my job as a follower to help other people kind of see that, and just as I was helped by my girlfriend, I can help my teammates or fans or in the way that I live. It's not going to be easy. Like, being a follower of Christ is not easy whatsoever, but it's those moments that make you a better person, set you aside, enables you to help other people, and that helps me create stronger, better relationships, and be more help to my teammates. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I imagine that this might be, I wanted to add this onto the question that I imagine that there's a lot more temptation the higher up you get, because I mean, even like I just play men's league, and like, if you go around just being like the perfect Christian, you're gonna get some side eyes from people like, hey man, you want to do this and that, you want to go to the strip club or whatever, and if you say no, they're like, all right dude, all right weirdo. So and again, I just play in dumb leagues that are in the area, right. So I imagine that the higher up you get, the more you have to be committed to fight those things if they're, if you don't want to do them, which, yeah.
And I mean, it's always there, and I'm not gonna say that I am definitely not the perfect Christian,
right.
whatsoever, and no one is, right?
No one is.
Yeah,
no matter how other people like peg them to be the perfect Christian, everybody struggles with that. But I mean, it helped me, the fact that I wasn't a very sociable person. I kind of stayed away from people growing up, and throughout high school, throughout college. My girlfriend is so very outgoing, and she's like, let's go party, line dance, let's go, I want to have fun with you and my friends. And I'm like, I just want to relax, recover.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. You want to sit inside and play the show, right?
Yeah, play the show and then go and get some batting practice. And
oh, dude, how often? This is a stupid question, but because I love hitting, for most of my life, the only thing I really liked about baseball was hitting. As I got older, I found an appreciation for other things. Like, now I'm a catcher, so now I kind of care about pitching too a little bit. But like how often do you take batting practice? And do you do it for fun, or do you have to be in there like working on stuff all the time?
I know like now that I've met other pro ball players, I'm addicted to hitting. Once I hit, I can't stop. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a pain for me to stop on a bad rep, or like
Oh,
if
yeah.
I hit a ball really hard, but the ball is straight to the back of the net, another dude might be like, "All right, that's it. I'm done for the day. I hit a barrel." For
Mm-hmm.
me, I'm seeing that ball going straight and not over the fence. So for me in my head, I'm like, "Nah, I can't end on that."
Right.
And then I end up hitting two more rounds and a whole bucket, and everybody's like, "Oh, Johnny Whole Bucket over here." Just
Yeah,
No,
that's
good for you, man. That's the work ethic it takes.
yeah.
We interviewed Paul Convoy on the show, who I think you're familiar with. He's the president of Baseball Scotland, and that's what he said. He was like, "Dude, he outworks everybody." And I was like, and I like you hear that about everybody. It's kind of like at spring training when they're like, he's in the best shape of his life. Like it's just what you say. But yeah, like that's exactly what it sounds like, man. Like you just have this
Right.
crazy work ethic that I've never had. You know?
Yeah. Yeah,
But
I've been Johnny Whole Bucket ever, not that name specifically, but I'm the guy at Victus. We have a batting cage and we're allowed to use it whenever we want. And I will go in there and just hit off the tee. The difference is that I'm not like, getting
good.
all that much better. But like, yeah, I got like calluses all over my hands that I'm torn off at work and stuff. And,
yeah, I mean,
it is hard to stop.
I definitely had to dial it down from high school and college because, I mean, everybody told me leading up, like, you're going to swing yourself into an injury, like, stop hitting so much.
Right.
In high school, I definitely couldn't afford to not hit that much because I wasn't, I needed to hit my way to where I wanted to be because, playing center
Right.
field was Connor Scott, who was drafted 13 overall. He didn't hit a
Right.
single day extra with
Mm-hmm.
me because he didn't need to. And for me, I was like, if I just do extra to catch up, I'm gonna get to that point.
Right.
And I got to a point where I in high school I would bleed to my I would hit to my hands bled and like there was blood on my bat. And since I couldn't stop on a rep that I didn't like, I would hit and I saw the blood on that. I was like, that's pretty cool. Let me finish on a rep that I like.
Right.
But now, obviously, we're playing 162 games in the majors and 100 and whatever in minor leagues. I can't hit that much in
Right.
one day.
Yeah.
I have to stick to, obviously, if I want more, I can't have more, but I can't go overboard in the first couple 10 games.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's what I'm kind of learning to navigate how much I can hit and how much I should, or you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is a professional baseball problem, but like the people I play with and me myself, I've noticed when I hit a lot and I start to get tired, I start accidentally practicing bad mechanics.
Yeah.
And then I go in then I get into a slump and I'm like, damn it, what am I doing wrong? And then I'll realize like, oh shoot, I'm doing the stuff that starts to happen when I get tired, and then I'm hitting when I'm tired and I'm practicing that. I don't know if that's a thing that happens to pro players since, they're
Yes.
in better shape than I am, but
No, it definitely is. And my problem is that my ego won't let me admit that I'm tired. So I'm like, no, man, I'm not tired. I got to get this right.
right.
And then in reality, like my body's like,
Yeah.
you take a break so that we can do this right.
Right.
Yeah. And meanwhile,
Right.
you're like, pain is just weakness leaving the body.
So I do want to ask you about the WBC, right? We were just talking about Sean Spradling and his World Baseball Classic acumen. I'll just be straight with you. Are you going to be playing in the World Baseball Classic, or are you interested?
Yeah. So since I have a torn labrum in my shoulder, I'm not allowed to play the field because I haven't played a single game at in pro ball.
Mm-hmm.
Understandably, honestly, when I first heard that, I was like, that's a load of crap. I want to play the field.
Right.
But obviously, it's smart to not play the field until I get some games in pro ball. But I will be DHing if the team needs me. I will
Okay.
be. I did get the green light to DH.
Okay.
And
So
that's
is
what
that
you love to do, right?
right? You get to hit, yeah. So are you locked in? Like you're on the roster, you're good to go, or are they still like they're gonna let you know?
Drew told me that MLB has to ask for permission for the Phillies, and then once the Phillies say yes, then. But I think Drew did tell me that I'm on that like 50 man or
Okay.
the
Okay.
roster.
Yeah,
Cool.
the 50 man per lip. So would you use the word committed to describe your
Oh
status?
yeah, I told my family that I'm going. I'm in. I mean,
Okay.
I want to face Kershaw, man.
Yeah.
Go Oppo.
Oh, that's so cool, man. I can't. So obviously
You're gonna
for
hang
Team
out with
GB,
Jazz.
Jazz Chisholm's gonna be playing, right?
I, I didn't know.
Oh, well, that's all right.
There you go. You
So
heard it here first.
you haven't seen a roster or anything. You're just
No, I
not
didn't know
that
they
worried
were
about
out.
it.
I didn't know they were out.
Really? Okay.
My understanding is every team has theirs, like they had to submit it, but they don't have to like publicize it. So I think it's just what players say, yeah, I'm in. So like I think Jazz did that.
Mhm.
And now you just did.
Something Sean asked us to bring up, which, we have already established you have interest in playing for the British team. You're probably eligible for Britain, the US, and Venezuela, right?
Venezuela, not Venezuela, because I don't have even. I don't know if they do it the same way as America. Like if you have American parents, you get American citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it works, but I could probably maybe get away into the Venezuelan team if it works that way. Because my whole family's Venezuelan.
Is there a team that you feel a particular affinity for? Like, is that Great Britain, or is it just whatever happens?
For me, it's even down to the decision for where I'm going to go to college is who wants me and who do I got. Like if I have to grovel to get on the team, I'm not going there. So
Right.
Team Great Britain's the first team I played for, so that Team Great Britain's my team.
Cool.
Right. Well, and they want you, man. They want you. Like you're going to be a star. I'm saying it.
Yeah.
And and they're lucky to have you, man. And that's a big bat to slot in the lineup, even if at DH, right?
Yeah. That would be cool. That would be cool though to be able to represent all three, if not maybe 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Just because I share the same, kind of patriarch with all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's super cool, man. So speaking of the WBC and of Team Great Britain, what are your thoughts on, I guess, just the homegrown, British program and all? I know they use a lot of foreign nationals to round out their team and a lot of Bahamian players. What do you think of the state of the game in not just Scotland, but the UK as a whole?
It has definitely surprised me, just because I grew up. Obviously, I didn't grow up in England or any spots where baseball was kind of big at the time where I was playing. Like going off of what I experienced there, I didn't expect people to be so, into the sport as they are now. So definitely surprised me for the better. And also, I don't know how many true Scottish players are around or in the system. It'd be cool, to meet one.
Yeah.
But I know all my friends, as I mentioned, they all made fun of me for playing baseball.
Right. They're all into like football and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
But it was funny. It was fun.
Now I hope you hit up your friends and remind them that it's actually called soccer.
I don't agree.
You don't agree? I just like that in the World Base or in the World Cup that the American fans chant it's called soccer. I'm a huge fan of that.
So speaking of Scotland and the UK, it obviously if there are going to be more Scottish players, you would be an inspiration to them, right? There's not a lot of Scottish players, like you said, and you've made it, this far at least, and you're going to go a lot further. What advice would you have for other players from Scotland or the United Kingdom as a whole?
If you can move, if you're in high school, you have more advantage. If you want to move to America, if you really want to play pro ball, because America, Florida, obviously you don't have to make your high school team. You don't have to go D1, D2 after high school. You go to junior college, and if you're good, you just put the work in. Work yourself to being good enough where a scout takes a chance on you. All it takes is one scout,
right?
And so be exposed to higher competition. When you meet a pitcher, meet a hitter who is simply just, more advanced at the time, remember what they did against you, remember what you did against them, replay that moment. And honestly, kind of like a Rocky, you lost one match and then you go train for it.
Yeah.
It all goes down to how much perseverance do you have, how bad do you want it, because it doesn't end until you win, right? If you really want it, you better be able to say I did everything I could. If you don't get the opportunity to play,
Right.
that's where it starts. How bad do you want it? How far are you willing to go uh, in order to get that? But definitely be exposed to elite, if not, at least better competition. Because if you're a player that's killing it in Ohio, you come down to Florida as a high school kid, and all of a sudden you got a bunch of prospects in Florida, because baseball in Florida is it's very like flourished.
Yeah. Well,
I
they
know
can
what you
play all
mean.
year round there, right?
Yeah.
it's a big state for
Advanced.
it.
Yeah.
Right. Like you won't get better unless you play against, the best at your age, or the best at age
Yeah.
above you.
One of the things I wanted to ask, and this is just a personal thing, I'm a little bit of like a distance guy. I love home runs more than like anything else. Do you know what the furthest you've ever hit a ball is?
I wish I did have that like SEC TrackMan stuff, because I've hit some balls that went pretty far that I would like to know.
Right.
I can tell you that like the hardest ball I've ever hit recorded that I've seen with my eyes was 118. It was my last hit in college.
Well, that's a little bit of a comment, so
Yeah, that's a nuke, man.
That was just a line drive to right that just kind of stayed, and I was surprised the kid didn't catch it, but I guess he just backed off, and it just kind of just rode. Like if it was hit with some angle, like some launch angle,
yeah,
I would pay to.
Yeah, that's like 450 plus, right?
Yeah, I mean, my buddy Jack Caglione, I went to high school with him. He's at Florida. He hit one at 118 with the right launch angle, and it went 480. So,
ooh,
yeah.
Oh man,
dude, I work with a guy he's the exit velo guy at work. He played in like he played in Australia and stuff, and he beats the pros who come in, and he hits it like 108 or so. And I'm like, dude, those are missiles. Like those are long gone if we're not in the cage. Like we had a home run derby at work, and he hit more home runs than everybody else combined. So I love home runs. I know that there's a lot of people who are like, oh, dude, home runs ruin the game. I disagree. Hard disagree.
Well, no, they definitely don't ruin the game. Like, I mean, you got the juice ball incident a couple of years ago. I mean, that's for the viewers. The shock, like the whole pitching clock is to speed up the game. Now you get challenge pitches in minor leagues where you don't agree with a pitch, maybe a strike three call. You go here, challenge the call. It goes up on the big screen, and it says the system says ball or strike.
Okay.
I mean, that just gives. I don't know, the pitcher can do it too, but that gives the batter more kind of, more room to hit more homers, I guess.
Right. I'm guessing you don't have to expand the zone as much with that. I mean, I don't know how big the impact would be, but like on two strikes, a lot of the time you get something close. You're like, I can't let that go. But
yeah, maybe. I mean, I haven't played with that, but I will definitely be using my challenges, because sometimes I pick up some pitches that are called strike, and I'm like, there's no shot that's a strike.
yeah, we've all been there. Absolutely.
Yeah, dude, when we were watching the World Series, there was a lot of us being like, dude, are you serious?
Yeah.
And then there was a lot like, where the Phillies got a call, and we're like, nope, no, it was great. Umps, they never miss anything.
So are you a Phillies fan now? I'm assuming so, since you got drafted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who were you a fan of growing up?
Hey man, I'm a Phil now. I was waiting. I've been waiting all this time to be drafted to know which team I root for. But
there you go. Fair enough.
In high school, I was an Astros fan before, which was funny.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
did want
that
the
hurts.
Phillies to beat them, though. I did want the Phillies to beat them, if that counts
Well,
for
All
anything.
right. So
Well,
when
you
it
know what
came
that
down
means?
to it, you did the right thing.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
that
no,
means, though, is that this year in the World Series, you had nothing to lose.
That's a good point. You're a man of integrity, it sounds like, because when it came down to it, you did the right thing
Yeah.
and you rooted for the Phillies.
Exactly.
So what's your jersey number? If you can pick, what's your jersey number going to be when you make the big leagues?
9.
9.
Why?
Well, I was born on March 3rd, so 0303, and born 2001. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 is 9.
Okay.
Got them all together.
Okay.
And it's just kind of, I don't know. Maybe I'm 33. Maybe I changed numbers. My dad was number 54.
Okay. Well, it also comes down to you get up there and this guy's got that number and this number's retired. So sometimes
Right.
you don't always get your pick, right? But
Yeah.
okay.
It won't matter.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. As long as you're a big leaguer, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's
yeah, dude,
awesome.
I
Man.
made the bigs, but I couldn't get the number I wanted, so was it really worth it?
Yeah, I retired because I couldn't get the number I want. So I do want to ask. We were talking about your high school team, and you said that your high school coach gave you the best advice of get better. What are some of the things that coaches have taught you along the way that you think you could impart to younger players?
So my coaches, the order went was Dennis Braun, who was really big on mental toughness. I mean, that man is old school as it gets. He was huge in mental toughness. And he tells all his players, like, the cage is here. Like, you guys can hit extra. You do realize that. And as that coach would always be tough on you just simply because of mental toughness. I know I said that a lot, but
Right.
that's
You're
key.
right.
The as a hitter, especially, pitchers can get away with it a little bit more. They can, pitch a little bit more amped up. As a hitter, you got to be mentally tough because you're going to strike out a whole bunch so that you may not like that. You're going to fail 7 out of 10 times. You hit 300.
If you're lucky.
You hit 300. I mean, that's not. I mean, you take any other sport, that's not success. But that's him. My junior college coach, he was more of like, don't get satisfied. I would say it goes well with how he and I butted heads a lot, but I'm very grateful that I had him as a coach because he'd always keep you honest. You did something good. No, you didn't. No, you could have done that better. Like, you're happy for that. Like, don't get satisfied. And my coach at FAU, I mean, be a better person than you are a player. Integrity. When you think no one's watching, you're wrong. People are always watching, whether it be your teammates. So don't go in the dugout in an inner squad with no scouts around and smash your helmet because you wouldn't do that if a bunch of scouts were sitting in the stands, right? So be a better person than you are a player off the field because it correlates. Off the field, keep everything off the field clean. On the field, it's going to be a smooth ride.
It sounds like you have really incorporated all of those things into your personal game, because it sounds like that was almost like a checklist of all the things that we talked about while talking about how you approach the game. So
well, and I noticed you said every coach. I mean, maybe not every single coach you've had in your life, but you were like, at this school I learned this, and with this guy I learned this. I think that's really interesting. It sounds like you're a person that takes advice really well and incorporates that into your life, which I know a lot of athletes have big egos and stuff, and that comes with the territory. It sounds like you're really good at listening to people, which is a really good skill.
It's funny you say that because I'm good at listening after I'm done talking. So it's like at the time I might be stubborn. I might be extremely stubborn, but I'm going to take that home and I'm going to sit on it and I'm going to think about it. And if I am wrong, I'm definitely going to change.
Okay.
But I am a very stubborn person. And it's okay to be stubborn, or else I would have taken the deal with the Padres where I stuck with what I first decided to do. And I said, no, I got to suffer the consequences for me sticking to 800,000. If I pick something else to that, I have no integrity. Who wants a player that, does that?
you don't want to settle. Yeah.
So that's something I wanted to ask you about really fast. And if you don't want to get into it, that's fine. But when you said, you want to stick to your guns, was that because of the money? You had things you wanted to do with that? Or was it more about the principle of, I think this is what I'm worth and I'm going to make sure that I get it?
Yeah, because take a guy who says, "No, man, I want this. No, man, I want this. No, I want this," and then he comes up at your door knocking, like hours later. He's like, "You know what? You're right. I'm gonna do this." Like you just denied. No, man, I'm not giving you this. Like you denied me 3 times. Like
Right.
there's no. You gotta suffer. Like you decide this is what you want to do. Don't stray from it. You gotta either suffer the consequences of your actions, or everybody's gonna, look not look down on you, but they're gonna look different of you. You gotta be
Mhm.
transparent, stick to who you are, know what you want, and people are, gonna look at you for who you are.
Right. And
Yeah.
people, as far as I'm concerned anyway, people do respect it when you know what you want and you're like, listen, this is what I want and I know that I'm worth it. So take it or leave it. I mean, that's almost like career advice 101 if you go on like any sort of like website and you're like, okay, how do I do a job interview? Like they almost all say that. So, knowing what you're worth and what you want works for a lot of people. So,
Yeah, and I know it sounds hypocritical, but you take some of the players that were drafted out of high school in the first round, and they turned down all this bunch of money.
mhm.
I know it's hypocritical in this. It's on a lower scale for me than it is, high school who has age, you know, the opportunity to get a bunch of years in pro ball with a lot of money that will hold you off till you get to the big leagues. More
Mhm.
than enough, some to set up for life. But when I was drafted with the Phillies, I still didn't get that 800 that I asked for in the Padres, right? But it's not about what you want; it's about what you need. I asked
Right.
the Lord, "Hey, whatever I'm getting is what I need." I know that I asked for 800 last year. I'm not going to expect anything more because what I get is what I need. But in that instance, 800 is what I said, and I was offered 300. I'm like, no, I know all this work that I put in. I know that I can get closer to that. It's worth me going to FAU. It's
Mhm.
a discretion.
No, that
And
that is great advice, man. And I know you're not here to listen about me, and nobody is, but I know
well, I
exactly how
am.
you feel. Yeah, he's a nice guy, so he is. But no, I know exactly how you feel. Like when my dad died, I got a life insurance payout, and it was 200 grand. And I at first it was a little complicated, but I thought it was going to be double that, and I was a little bummed. And I was like, man, I could have had 400 grand. And then I like sat down. I was like, all right, that doesn't change this. I have 200 grand. I bought a house. I put the rest in the bank, and now like my life's great, man. It's awesome. And now like I don't look back and be like, well, I could have had 200 more grand. I was like, everybody else my age has a bunch of student loans and works the same job as me. You know what I mean? And I have a paid off house, so I'm in good shape. So it's that's such a good way to look at it, man. You sound very grateful, even though you didn't get satisfied or
Mhm.
complacent, like you said. You seem like you have a very good outlook on life.
Yeah, no, I mean, everything I've got is not by any means anything that I earned. It's everything that's been given to me by the Lord.
Mhm.
Everything that I have is not like I didn't plan any of this. Everything is not coincidental. Like
Yeah.
from
Mhm.
point A to point B, everything has been I've been provided for, and how can I not be grateful, to Him when I look at all the things He's given me, all the things that He's done for me.
Right.
It's been good.
Yeah. I feel exactly the same way. We've kept you for long enough. I have one more question from Sean. Well, it's sort of two, but I'm going to make him one.
Right.
He wants to know. We're going back to the WBC here. Have you been able to play for either of Great Britain's coaches? The former coach and the new coach, Liam Carroll and Drew Spencer. Have you been able to play for both of those guys? And what players are you looking forward to playing with on Team Great Britain?
I played for Drew Spencer, and I know when I went over to Italy, which by the way I played terrible. I did those guys
Mhm.
a disservice by playing on their team. Uh, but I played, Marcelino, and Drew Spencer, but and it's gonna sound bad. I'm terrible at names, but I definitely recognize them by face. Missing a couple coaches.
You're
Right.
fine.
Yeah, we've all
But
been there.
They know you
Crosby,
care.
Yeah.
Alex Crosby, I don't know
Okay.
exactly who from that team. Like if anybody from that team in Italy shows up to the WBC, I would be overjoyed to see their face.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay. One name I want to give you real fast, and I don't know if you know this guy, Harry Ford, the guy, the Mariners' top pick. He was a
Is he the catcher?
yeah, he's
Yeah,
the
he's a
number one
catcher.
prospect. He killed it in the qualifiers. Do you know him at all?
I do not know him, but that's
That's
good.
okay.
That's
I just
good.
wanted to ask.
Well,
That's cool, man. It sounds like
maybe
it's
you'll
going to
get
be a
to know him.
super.
You know,
Yeah,
who's to
that sounds
say?
like it's going to be a super exciting team.
Yeah.
Is there anything you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to?
I mean, who do you guys got in the WBC?
So we did a whole episode on this. You can go
Yes,
back
we
and
did.
listen to it if you, for some reason, care about our opinions.
Right.
Who do we have winning the whole thing? I think you got to go with the U.S. No
Yeah.
offense.
Wrong answer. I don't think they'll get out of the pool. Team Great
Yeah.
Britain.
Well,
two teams make it out of the pool.
Right. You guys would be in the pool with the Czech Republic, who I thought was wonderful in the qualifiers. They beat Spain, who
Wait,
Spain was the heavy favorite
Game 1, is that not against Team US?
with Great Britain.
Yeah.
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Yeah. Am I? Hold on. Let's look at the pool. Where are we at here? Pool C. Oh shoot! Yeah, you get. Yep. Yeah, you guys are
So
in the same pool as
you
the
kick
U.S.
off your tournament against the U.S.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
Okay.
I've been
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I've been
Yeah.
visualizing.
Yeah.
That's
Do you know
gonna
any
be
of
a
the
good
guys
game.
on the U.S. team?
Nah, I heard they're good. I don't know. I'll have to see.
You're just looking forward to launching nukes off of Kershaw
Yeah,
and
man.
Michaelis and
Yeah.
Nestor Cortez.
Yeah, I don't know any of those guys, but they'll know. Nah.
Yeah,
They'll know you.
soon
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah,
They'll know you.
That's another thing. For any player that's my age or younger, I know that playing high school and college, you face some prospects on the mound, and then you got your friends saying, "Oh man, that guy's throwing cheese. That guy's so gross." Don't listen to those guys. Like everybody you play, nah, man, he's trash. You go up there and smack him because the first guy that barrels that prospect, the guy behind him's like, "Oh man, he did it. I'm gonna go up there and hit him," and then he hits, and then he hits. But if everybody's like, "Man, this team is good," like you already lost the game, especially if they're a lot better than you are. You gotta kind of look down on that big, good team to even give yourself a chance. So
yeah, the way that it's not the same thing at all, as I've said many times. The way that I always approach it when we played a better team, like my last team that I played on, we played against a team of like Dominican guys who were all like way better than we were, and we ended up winning. Long story short, but like I was the manager of the team at the time, and I was like, guys, we do know these guys are really good. We have to look at it like, yeah, this is a fun, cool challenge, not like, oh, they're just gonna kick our asses. So what are we even here for? Like when the guys up there, when they got the 19-year-old throwing like 85, and none of us have ever seen that before. It's like, well, dude, listen, you can hit 85. It's not impossible. A lot of people do it. A lot of people consider it easy. So let's just go up there and, it's a challenge for us. And I think that I deserve 100% of the credit for us winning, but that's a separate matter. But
I'll give it to you.
Yeah, we did beat this other team, and I don't play for that team anymore. The team I play for now, actually, as I've mentioned a couple of times on the podcast, is like 80% Venezuelan guys. So, so Venezuela is my dark horse pick for the World Baseball Classic. I think that they're going to go far, and I have posted on Twitter a couple of times that I'm going to die on this Venezuela hill. I think they have a pretty good chance to win the whole thing, or at least be in the finals.
I think they could finish second behind Team GB. Yeah,
exactly.
So one thing, this just popped into my head, but can I ask you a random question? Can I put you on the spot? Is really what I'm asking.
Yeah.
So we've been talking a lot about how you play with a chip on your shoulder, is what it sounds like, and you like to challenge yourself and use that kind of thing. I'm looking at your MLB.com scouting grades, right?
Don't get me started on that, man.
I'm getting you started, man. They gave you a 30
some games
run
in center field. They're gonna be like, "Oh man, if this guy's got 30 grade run in his field, he must be 70."
Yeah.
So how does that make you feel? Is it like Madden, like how those guys go on Twitter and put them on blast? Like when you get these ratings, what do you do? Just say, "No way, I'm going to prove them wrong"?
Well, I take out my my notes and I write down those names that wrote those things, and then I go play and I show them that they're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So when I put this up, when I put a graphic up, what should I edit it to? 50 grade run, 60 grade run, 80 grade
definitely
run?
higher than a 30. I tell you that.
Okay. Okay.
But,
Because they're saying here that you're going to hate your way to the big leagues. It sounds like you think
Well,
higher
yeah. If
yourself.
you don't hit, you're not going to play.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I can tell you that 30 grade. Tell me a 30 grade runner.
Me.
Yeah. Nah, dude,
No,
we're like a
10
0 grade runner.
I'm a 10 grade, a 30 grade runner. How about, I don't know, Yadier Molina? Like that's what I think of.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So all right. So how many steals do you think you'll have at the major league level? 10 a year?
I don't know. I'd rather trot them than run them, but
yes, exactly.
Oh, I like this
Same.
guy.
Same.
You got
no
the right
steals,
attitude,
no bunts.
I'm not saying I'm a blazing speed guy because I'm not. But a 30 grade run is outrageous.
Right? Yeah, that's.
You're not a black
I can move
hole.
I can move for my size.
Yeah, dude, we've taken up enough of your night. It's 2 days before Christmas. You got a girlfriend to hang out with. I just want to say thanks so much for coming on the show, man. This has been a blast. Where can people find you and follow you?
Instagram, Twitter. I don't know.
Citizens Bank Park, baby.
There you go.
Well, yeah. Where are you going to be playing this? After the World Baseball Classic, what league are you going to be playing?
Oh man, I don't know. I got to play. I got to play well to see how far they'll start me.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll send me either low A or high A. This is Clearwater, Jersey Shore.
Hey, if you're at Jersey Shore, I'll show up. I'll be there.
Yeah.
I live like an hour away.
Let me know see if I get you in there.
Yeah. All right, deal, man. That sounds like a blast. All right, so what's your handle? I talked over you. What was your handle on Twitter and everything?
Instagram is Gabriel_Rincones Jr. And Twitter is Gabe Rincones.
All right, cool, man. This has been absolute blasty. Thanks for coming on. Maybe we can have you on after the World Baseball Classic and you tell us whether or not you liked it.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Hey, thanks so much for everything, man. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Gabriel, thanks again for coming on the show. We had an absolute blast, and
we sure
hopefully
did.
You'll be nice enough to come on again and talk about your experience in the World Baseball Classic. But that was so much fun, Tom. I really enjoyed it, and what a nice, genuine guy. I just want that to be out there because a lot of times we talk about athletes and their play on the field. Man, Gabriel Rincones could wash out tomorrow. He's not gonna, but if he washed out tomorrow, he'd still be like my favorite player in the world.
Yeah, like there's a lot of talk, and some of this is true, but there's a lot of talk about like never meet your heroes. He's the kind of guy where like if he's your personal hero and you meet him, you're not going to be disappointed. Great guy.
That's absolutely right. And he doesn't know me, and I have no audience. I just DM'd him on Twitter, and he was like, "Let's do it, man." So
yeah,
what a nice guy. I'm so glad we got to have Gabriel on the show, and I can't wait to do it again. This has been so much fun, and thank you for listening to the Baseball Podcast.